Hello again. I know that appearances can say a lot about someone, and if you're a freelancer like me and sometimes work from home, I don't really make a fuss about what clothes to put on when I get up in the morning. Now my partner is the complete opposite. She has her clothes immaculately laid out, perfectly ironed and colour coordinated. And you? How do you decide what to wear when you get dressed in the morning?
So when it's a bit more rainy, I decide to dress up a bit more colorful to make myself happier. And I also have my lazy days when I just grab whatever comes into between my hands.
I'm just trying to fill my closet with things that I already like, so then it's not too difficult to assemble something that you feel like
Maybe
wearing.
just check temperature outside, and it's a
You
decisive
do that.
factor.
I never get cold, so I'm fine.
That's true.
Since I moved to London and my wardrobe is now a third of what it was, I just randomly pick clothing. I don't even put much thought into it, especially since I'm studying and just working a part-time job where I don't have to dress up.
I don't have much of a fashion sense, so it's quite easy in that regard. I just put on a jumper.
I put out my clothes the day before, so it's there when I wake up. Quite convenient for me.
Do you behave differently at work or college than with friends?
Well, within college you have some rules, so within a class you behave yourself, you're interested in the lecture, but you also interact with other people in a different way. But when with your friends you're a bit more free and the topic is not given, so that's the main difference. But here everyone is really friendly, so also a class has a really good atmosphere, and also hanging out with friends, it's kind of similar.
Right now, my part-time job is being a nanny. So obviously interacting with children, I interact differently with the children than I do with the parents because the parents are very formal and the children are outgoing. And with my friends, I'm kind of the same way. I call my friends girlfriend or chica, and I do the same thing with the girl who I'm a nanny for. And she appreciates me calling her that. So I'm informal in both settings. It's different than if you're in a corporate setting, where you'd have to be more formal. But I'm pretty informal in both settings, I would say.
No, I don't think so. I think I'm the same person professionally or personally, so I don't think so.
I don't know. I think they're both quite similar because at work I have friends. I suppose there's a different environment. Maybe it's more relaxed with friends, whereas at work you do have to focus at times. Yeah, pretty similar.
Do you ever behave differently depending on which language you're speaking?
I think I'm much more emotional and an expressive person in Polish, which is my native language, and much more raw and distanced person in English, I guess.
I would say yes. So in Arabic, because I speak Arabic, Dutch, and English. Arabic being my first language. So in Arabic, there's more of There's more of an affectionate kind of nature in the way you speak to other human beings. So when I'm around Arab people, I tend to say Habibi more often, which means my beloved, my dear. And it's a bit more loving, a bit more warm, I would say, in that sense. When I'm speaking in English or I'm around English people, I tend to be a bit more professional in that sense. How are you? You okay? How's things? Everything all right, sort of thing. Whereas in Arabic, I tend to be a bit more warm in the way I approach people and I speak to them. But it's not necessarily the people that I'm changing. I think it's the language itself, the way you've been brought up to speak a certain way. In Arabic, in Dutch, and English, it's all socially constructed differently, I would say.
So I speak Spanish and French. And I think they definitely do change the way I behave when I speak in these different languages. I feel that Spanish is quite a forefront, emotional language where things are expressed wholeheartedly. French, I think things are a bit more drawn out, there's a lot more words in between when you're saying things. And in English, I feel there's a formality, there's a reserve. But I also think it's hard to disentangle cultural behaviours from the actual language. So it's hard to ever be scientific about where one begins and the other ends.
Yeah. Anger, Arabic, I would say. I think it's more passion. My dad gets angry. That's the only thing I learned. Humor, Swahili. I think I'm more funnier in Swahili than I am in English. Being precise and direct and bureaucratic, I would say English. I don't think it's a good thing with the language I use for bureaucracy.
So I'm kind of the same. I kind of let my personality shine through with whatever language I'm speaking, or at least I try to.